Good morning and welcome to Show Studio. It's Haute Couture and we're about to talk about Givenchy. But before we dive in, I'm going to do the most important thing and let my panellists introduce themselves. Essie, we'll start with you.
Hi, I'm Essie Buckman. I'm the founder of 40 Label, women's wear brand.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Gonsalves. I'm a freelance fashion journalist.
Hi, I'm Naomi and I'm the Miss Vogue editor at British Vogue.
Hi, I'm Bianca, Saunders, menswear designer.
And I'm Lara Johnson-Wheeler. I'm features editor at Show Studio. So, Givenchy. Let's start by just thinking about, obviously Givenchy has had such a rich lineage, so many wonderful designs have come to the house. We're looking at Claire White Keller's collections. But I'm always interested when talking about Givenchy about what it is that people really associate with the brand. Because I've been, with McQueen, Julian McDonald, Galliano, there are so many different designers who've been at this house. What is it that, Naomi, I'll start with you. Is there a particular era or an image that really sums up Givenchy for you?
I think people will always talk about the whole sort of Audrey Hepburn Hollywood thing, and I think that Hollywood thing has maybe sort of disappeared for a few years, but I think it's back now. A lot of, I'm going to say Meghan first, but a lot of women are wearing it on the red carpet as well, not just, the Duchess of Sussex. Obviously, it was a massive part of Riccardo's reign at Givenchy, was that sort of celebrity involvement. And Hubert de Givenchy was one of the first people to do it with Audrey. So I think it probably is that sort of Hollywood, that shapes Givenchy.
So this idea of nostalgia is coming back.
Yeah, I think so.
But I think that Hollywood connection's continued, but the way that Hollywood has changed so much, so that the fashion has changed to reflect it. Like if you think of the celebrities linked with Riccardo's reign, it's people like Kim Kardashian, Beyonce.
Yeah.
And they're not actually Hollywood, but they are those megawatt celebrities, and they are just as fascinating and interesting as Audrey was in her day. I think, though, that Riccardo's aesthetic had kind of a very faint line between Hubert's, but it still very much became Givenchy. Yeah. It wasn't, I don't know if it's because he didn't have another label to concentrate on, and so putting all that focus on it, it made it something, complete and entire, which not actually, I suppose it's not really that much anymore, but most designers have two labels, and they're trying to marry two visions.
And in the vision that we're seeing now, Claire White Keller's vision, do you think that transition is obvious? Are we feeling, a tie between what Riccardo Tisci was doing and Claire White Keller now? Or is it something new?
I think there is more of a link than I expected there to be.
There's still that sharpness.
Yeah, it's
shoulder.
Fierce and powerful. Yeah. Whereas Chloe, she was dressing strong women, but it was just much more feminine and fun and kind of girlish and young. Whereas this is for, a strong woman who is empowered by herself, not just her clothing.
Mm-hmm. So your designs are a lot about empowering strong women. Yeah. What do you think?
Me personally, I just feel like Riccardo Tisci's Givenchy was more impactful to me. Maybe just because of the culture he was bringing. He was really focusing on that, and that new Hollywood. Do you know what I mean? He was bringing that to the forefront. Whereas this kind of feels like a bit of not a backslide, but it just doesn't feel very, I don't really get the life from it. I don't really see it's not really killing me softly, if you know what I mean? I just feel even from the dress, the wedding dress, I just was not bowled over. Maybe because I just love excess and glamour, and maybe that's just my aesthetic, maybe that's just it, but I personally don't feel like Riccardo, I feel was way more exciting. I feel he was way more it was kind of it was still couture though, that's the thing. It was still, crazy beading and beautiful silhouettes, and it was all very couture, but it was still very current, very now, very fresh. It had a bit of a hip hop edge or an R&B edge, or sometimes a punk rock edge. You still have an edge to it. But whereas this, it doesn't really resonate with me personally. But that's just my personal opinion.
You feel the edge.
Yeah.
No, I don't think there is really an edge now. It's much more, it's not necessarily polite, but it is much more polished.
It is, yeah.
And also with Riccardo, he did that whole bringing the street to the catwalk, to couture, way before everyone's like, you know, Virgil or Hood by Air or Vetements. It's like, no, kind of, yes, they're doing it, but they haven't created
You're
it.
the pioneers of it,
No.
yeah.
I kind of feel like, because she's going back to the original characters, so like the Jackie O and like Audrey Hepburn is a bit too late, because like all those customers that are like classic women have kind of not left, but I guess it's coming back because of the royal wedding, so it was necessary for her to do that role. But then I feel like the shapes back then were a lot more sleeker and more tight to the body. Like if you look at Audrey Hepburn wearing Givenchy, it's like fits her to a glove, and she's a very tiny woman, probably at the same size as Meghan, which is, I thought the dress was it could have been a bit more tighter to her figure, and it's just like it would have made people love it a lot more that way. So it's a bit, I don't know, I feel like if Ricardo wasn't at Givenchy for so long, then people would be more used to the image that she's bringing back. But because it's been so long with his image, we're just like, where is this coming from? And that she does have a lot of historical content to what she's actually bringing in. So yeah.
I'm really interested because the Spring/Summer 18 Haute Couture collection got such, you know, incredible rave reviews. People were just delighted to see what she was doing. And I feel like perhaps the royal wedding dress, because there was perhaps, you know, people felt that it wasn't fitted so closely to her body, there was a bit of room. Do you think that that's made people look a bit differently at Claire White Keller's designs?
I think possibly, because that was such a massive moment for her. And obviously everyone's looking at this dress, whether, it doesn't matter who you are, you're looking for that dress. Not even looking at her, you're probably just looking straight at like the fit, the cut, the what is going on, especially from Kate before.
Yeah.
Because that dress was just like iconic. As soon as she walked out, like you knew that that was it, you know what I'm saying? But this wasn't the same vibe.
No.
And there's nothing wrong with being simple, but it's just it didn't fit, like, as you said, like to a T. It wasn't, like the sleeve length was even a bit off. Even the hem was a bit like, do you know what I mean? But so it's like, if you're on that scale, I think that sets a tone. Even if she did it like an amazing collection before, it sets a tone because it's like, this is the biggest deal you could ever get as a designer. So it's like, then you kind of judge.
It's interesting because I'd like to hear your perspective as designers, because I think the reason it wasn't so fitted is because, well, obviously Meghan didn't want it that way, but because of the fabric, because it looks like it's actually quite a heavy, stiff fabric, and if it was too fitted, she wouldn't have, you know, been able to raise her arms or breathe or bend or, you know, all that sort of stuff. So, and also with couture, you know, you might create a design, but then the client comes and they say, actually, I want this, but I want it, you know, 6 inches shorter in a different color, da, da, da. So it becomes kind of like a blueprint rather than something specific. So do you think, kind of taking into consideration the fabric choice, do you think that the wedding dress was Claire White Keller for Givenchy, or was it Claire White Keller for Meghan Markle for Givenchy?
With the palace involvement also.
Yeah.
Because, you know, designing to royal protocol is a whole other step again.
Yeah, but then I feel like Kate's dress was like very fitted.
Yeah.
And that was like, everything was like skin tight and it looked amazing.
Lace,
but I think that's also down to the design as well too, because you've got to think that your name's on the line. Like if you don't like the design, then you have to like be like, more, you should be a bit more tighter, or I don't know what happened when they was discussing things, but it's just, it would have been so much nicer if it did have that exact tailored fit, because she was saying before about how she's trying to move women's wear into this kind of tailored sort of design, and it's just like, it doesn't really meet the mark just yet for me. I feel like it just looks like a dress that she's picked up.
It looks
like,
quite
like for everyone.
Yeah, it's kind of like Hobbs style, I'm not gonna lie.
In that picture, especially
Honestly.
because you can't see the tray.
Going back to that, whether it was, you know, Claire White Keller for Meghan Markle.
Yeah.
If you look at what she's been wearing since, whether it's been Givenchy or that Prada suit, it's still very much the batin neckline and that slightly not quite fitted silhouette. So it obviously is something that she personally clearly favours, because that can't happen twice by accident, or, you know.
But also, I think maybe she's kind of trying to move quite clearly away from the idea of, you know, the Hollywood vamp, the American actress. Da, da, da. I think, you know, she's criticised for everything she does already. So if she had worn something a bit more racy, a bit more fitted, she probably would have been vilified because people just kind of want to hate her, and I'm not quite sure why.
Yeah, that's what I consider, because obviously there's way more pressure on Meghan than there was ever on Kate. So I kind of understand like where she was going with, like, she wants to keep it simple, very covered up. However, the fit was just not quite right. I mean, that other dress, like the after party dress or whatever.
Stella
McCartney.
I love that dress.
See, everyone loved it. I didn't love it.
I really did.
I didn't like it.
I didn't
I
like
mean, because of the comparison.
Yeah.
I just felt it was way more like current
Fun.
and fun.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I get it. I don't know. There's just something about it that's kind of like, I don't know, Bon Jovi music video about that neckline and the shoulders.
Yeah.
But this idea that the dress, you know, the Givenchy dress, the wedding dress, the big one, you know, it pulled on all these codes of nostalgia, Naomi, like you're referencing. And I wonder if that's what sort of made it feel slightly unpopular to certain people, whereas that's what, you know, Claire White-Keller is doing in this collection. She's referenced in the Haute Couture collection, it's called Caraman, and it looks at Hubert de Givenchy himself and codes of the house, and sort of references the fact that it's looking at his personality. It's very much an homage, it's looking back. Let's have a look at the collection.
I think it's interesting that she did that because, one, obviously he died recently, so it's very respectful, but also, is it because she's a woman? And previously it's kind of been, you know, male artistic directors, they have much, I mean, let's be kind of completely stereotypical, but, you know, the ego's involved and the confidence, whereas she's, you know, she's the first one who's designing now that he's died, and maybe she just, I don't know, is it just being a polite woman who's a bit, no, I think it's just being a bit more respectful and you know, in the way that, you know, soft power rather than that hard power that kind of, you know, she doesn't want to be a ball breaker, she doesn't want to, you know, pretend that the past didn't happen. And also it's kind of trying to create a gap between her and Riccardo.
I think what's nice about it is that she's kind of put her own image stamp instead of just carrying on what Riccardo has done. But then I feel like she just needs to push it a bit more. The idea of tailoring, or whether it's going to be an actual fitted dress. So it's like an in-between shape or silhouette she's doing, which is like a bit hard to read. I feel like, yeah, I don't know. This is nice.
I think this is one of the looks that you can kind of feel that Riccardo Givenchy's still there a little bit. And maybe before it would have had a, you know, beautiful embellished, more bodycon sort of skirt below, but it feels quite sort of that era as well.
I just don't get a sense of this designer yet. I don't know if that makes sense. But like, I just feel like this is very strong. I kind of like this black like paint stroke. Do you know what I mean? On every look, it's kind of like interrupting whatever's going on with this print or the color or the fabrication. But I feel like I just need a little bit more. Like Riccardo would just add like an earring and then the whole thing changes. Or he'll add like, do you know what I mean? Some kind of styling where, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
or the
styling
casting.
was always amazing.
Something's a bit like boom. And then this is just missing that extra push.
But I do feel that, Rebecca, what you were saying, you know, that it's about soft power. And in all of these looks where there are these, you know, very sequin, big, you know, jeweled embellishments, they're covered with a tailored coat, or there's this kind of Scottish widow's cape and hood.
I guess I wonder who's it for. If Riccardo's was for Kim and for Beyonce, is this more for, you know, those couture clients that we don't know the name of, that go to the salons and buy them all and wear it not on the red carpet, who maybe do want to sort of a subtler elegance?
But showing so, you know, soon after the royal wedding, I was interested that this doesn't feel like it's for Meghan Markle.
There are a few looks, though, I think that could just a little bit here and a little bit there, and she's wearing it, you know, to state occasions, like, definitely. There's that pattern, not that one.
What do we think of that piece? This kind of architectural structure?
Showpiece.
Showpiece.
Yeah, showpiece. I think what was nice about Riccardo when he was there is that the models were inspiring people, whereas I feel like now you have to see it on celebrity for it to inspire you, and I feel like you should do that on the runway anyways, whereas I don't feel like this is missing a bit of personality in a way. It's like it's great clothes, but then same sense, I felt the strong shoulder kind of reminds of 2012, a bit.
Yeah.
I think as well, when she was at Chloe, you really had such a strong sense of the Chloe girl. And I think obviously Megan has almost like facing the Givenchy gang, so to speak, even though I'm not sure whether she is the woman, but it's been put on the brand and almost her as well, especially because she's continued to wear it since the wedding. If it was a one-off moment, then maybe not so much, but...
I kind of feel like I can sense the Givenchy woman. It does, Bianca, not to respectfully disagree, I kind of do feel a sense of personality here. And it is this idea of, you know, like we're saying, this halfway house in a bit. It's someone who's conscious that they want these touches of embellishment and nods to, you know, glamour, but at the same time wants to feel professional or, you know, I kind of hate this word, but modest.
Yeah.
I do feel it's very consistent though.
Yeah.
That's something that is actually hard to nail. So.
I feel like there's a mindfulness for a customer there.
Yeah.
You know, Megan would wear this, I'm sure, you know, if at the right moment.
Also, I feel like there's a lot of kind of, it's broad enough to kind of catch those clients or customers for Haute Couture that have been served and have recently not been served by, you know, brands like Lanvin. Celine Woman's going to be looking around.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like it's very polished, it's very refined, it is very modest, it's elegant. But also I feel like, you know, there's kind of like echoes of Raf's Dior, there's Vetements touches.
Where do you see those Vetements touches?
In the silver sequins, do you remember like the dress?
Yeah,
you know? It's hard not to see though, when they're such like, specific, like not iconic, but you know, yeah.
Do you think this collection will sort of fill a void that people have been feeling, particularly in couture? Obviously, you referenced Lanvin.
I wouldn't say so.
I wouldn't say it necessarily fills a void, but I would say it's going to be popular. With, you know, the customer will be there.
Yeah.
Do you think it feels nostalgic or modern?
I don't think it maybe feels modern, it doesn't feel forward-looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, it's kind of switching up right now. Because I don't know about this ending.
No, it's a bit Elisa.
Yeah.
It's very simple beauty as well. The beauty is very simple. Whereas Riccardo, you know, it was always really dramatic and...
So who does the makeup, who cues it? Because it used to always be Pat, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Who used to do kind of amazing, sometimes controversial, but always the most like standout.
I like the mixture of like the hard fabrics and like the more soft textures, which I think she's done a really good balance of it. Because then you have like the hard shoulder and like more of the chiffon flowing, which is quite nice.
I like these touches of armour.
Yeah.
There is that, yeah.
And, you know, this
That
kind of
breastplate.
yeah. But she's spoken, you know, saying that, you know, her collections are not political, but, you know, there is something. I mean, you're putting a silver breastplate on a gown. I can't help but think of you know, the current climate.
I really wish the music was different though, because it gives me sort
What
of
would you
fairy
rather
tale
hear?
vibes.
Yeah.
A little bit. And it's just like the nice background to have like a different switch of music, so it can kind of, I don't know, break up the association a bit for me.
There's these white dresses as well for that woman who wants to get married in Givenchy in 2018.
Yeah.
In that.
But I definitely think
That is a Megan's dress.
Yeah, beautiful.
Where's this venue?
What's that, like
What are those
thigh-high
boots?
boots? Yeah.
Wow.
Those are cute.
So I think the venue is the Garden of the Archives,
Oh, okay.
at least according to Nick, who I spoke to on the phone, who's been attending the couture shows.
Okay.
amazing.
It's beautiful set.
Nick gave a quite lovely little catchphrase when he said he felt that this was manicured modernism.
Yeah.
That's a good phrase.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
I think it does feel considered. I think, you know.
In
I do
particular,
miss that Tishy vibe though, I'm not gonna lie. I really do miss that
Really?
kind of like, yeah, 'cause I was always excited to see what he's doing. This doesn't make me like really want to like see what's next. Do you know what I mean? I feel like she's nailed her customer, she's nailed this look, and I feel like I'm gonna get like more of this.
Yeah.
But Tishy always switched it up. I don't know.
I think with this, it does make me want to see the clothes.
Yeah.
You know, watching it on the screen, you can see the movements and the embellishments, but there's such a glut of textures and fabrics. And, you know, Nick particularly said that he'd looked at the images after, but seeing the clothes was something quite extraordinary,
Yeah.
different. Things that I think for us look a little heavy or solid, just the way that they moved. You know, he said that was quite remarkable.
There is quite a lightness to the fabrics, though. They
Yeah,
do move. You know, with it being outdoors, there's the airiness.
Yeah.
It feels like you could wear them. You know, like sometimes in couture, you're like, oh, how's that
it's
model
not heavy.
moving?
Yeah.
But you,
It also looks very much like it would be at home on the red carpet.
yes.
Which is interesting because, you know, Chloe was never really about that aesthetic. So, Scottish Widow.
I kind of like the Scottish Widows look thing. But yes, there are these touches as well to the Audrey Hepburn. There are these black gloves
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the capes.
And the long sleeves almost with the little waist.
I mean, in terms of selling, it's going to do really well because it seems like it's speaking to, I guess, the customers that have been almost like left off for the past like 10 or so years in a way. Because like I know there's a lot of men that like to wear more of a structured suit or like a very expensive looking silhouette, which I think she's definitely speaking for this.
I think the colour palette as well, just looking at that pink there, you know, pink has been so popular in the last few years, and it's still there now, but also there's the black dress, there's the white dress, there's the silver dress. It's quite, everything would flatter and not be too scary. I don't, you know, it's quite...
Yeah, that's really interesting that this collection doesn't feel, none of the pieces feel intimidating.
No.
And often with couture collections, because they are these amazing showpieces. And I think she's kind of tapped into that a woman who's buying couture doesn't want to be afraid of a garment she's going to wear.
That's a gorgeous dress, but you almost want the train to be a little bit bigger, the skirt a bit fuller for that final couture thing, but I do think it's absolutely beautiful.
I feel quite lulled by the music.
The tinkling.
I think we all know what's coming on the soundtrack then.
I hope it does play on the show film.
I mean, the venue is so indicative of the change, though, because, you know, Riccardo used to have like car smashes in the middle of the set, or he did
Late
that
at
music
night.
show in New York, and yeah, exactly.
So I think the soundtrack on the film is different to what it was because, so my intelligence tells me that the final look, Moon River, Audrey Hepburn singing Moon River was playing.
Yes.
Hammering the point home a little, a lot. But I wonder how that might have felt to have been watching that.
Right, with the clothes.
I guess if you hadn't read the show notes, then you still got
Yeah.
a memo kind of thing. And the shoes as well, about that sort of not being very scary. You know, couture shoes again are always can be quite about to fall out of, and models fall quite most regularly, I think, at couture shows. And yet they're these tiny little kitten heels that feel as ready to wear as they do, you know, with those
this
gowns.
is very Queen Rainier of Jordan.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That silver sort of sharp jacket across as well, especially.
Going back to the shoes, it does feel like Claire White-Keller is being very kind to the couture client.
Yeah.
But it's not safe, though. I will say that. It's definitely not safe. The fabrication and everything, the breastplates. I do feel it is for a strong woman, definitely. The casting's really good. I really like the casting as well.
Yeah, there's those few Brit girls as well sprinkled in there, aren't there? Sort of that. I think this feels very Parisian. It feels very. There's not much of a British twist. You know, not that any of her stuff has ever. You know, Chloe never really felt that British, but this.
But people do
feels quite
play on that quite a lot.
Yeah.
British Claire White-Keller.
Yeah.
It's interesting that there were menswear looks kind of sprinkled in, and they kind of were just invisible.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned them until now.
I think it's just very like customer based. It feels like where the men like have been fused in, that they're not really that noticeable. But they are very powerful looks on guys.
Yeah, I think. I don't know. I think things were quite embellished and like
The silver.
Yeah. To have a man at the end of the show is quite.
They did stand out.
Yeah, but that's her kind of. She doesn't do menswear. She's not done menswear, so she's pushing it in directions that she hasn't been in before. So I think it's a disservice to say anything she does is safe or kind of backwards looking.
Oh, this is nice.
But
Again, this goes back to that thing you were saying earlier about a woman referencing a lady bringing out the team. You know, it's that same kind of thing.
This does just get me every time.
Yeah, it is very powerful.
This is a powerful moment for sure.
They all just look really happy to be there.
So
There's a real range of age there as well. There's quite some young people involved there, which is quite fun.
I do look at it and kind of wish they were a choir though. Start singing. Wouldn't that be great?
Moon River. She looks happy.
In my mind, they're all singing in chorus.
And it's so interesting because they've got obviously their own clothes under their white coats, but in the Tichy days, like everyone had the same aesthetic. Like the PRs at the show all had their hair straightened and flicked, and like they had to go into makeup beforehand. He was so controlling over that.
Wow.
Do you think Claire White-Keller's reign feels a bit looser?
Yeah, I mean, I think in a confident way. Yeah.
It's nice to see the clothes again. In close up again. The first look, I'm so intrigued by. Because it is exactly that kind of the two, the dichotomy thing of this strong upper half and then a flowing lower slip underneath.
Also, like the haircut is so reminiscent of Audrey. It's obviously particularly well chosen.
Then the gloves and this.
Yeah, and those bangles are really interesting.
True. Again, like the armor thing, you know, it really resonates throughout.
I was thinking about this morning, about how when you think of Chloe and Claire White-Keller's Chloe, like you really think of the handbags and the sunglasses and the shoes and this, and also when you think of Ricardo's Givenchy, you think of those bags that were so,
With the dogs.
with the dogs,
or the spiky
all of the ones, the Nightingale, all of those ones, and I'm still not quite sure. Yes, there's that one, I can't remember the name of it now, that you see a lot of in stores, but those accessories that people are going to buy, I wonder what it's going to be. I'm quite excited to see.
Gloves.
Black gloves. But what will be the handbag that becomes Claire's Givenchy handbag?
Yeah,
Because that's what people buy,
and obviously, their fragrance and makeup business is so huge. And that kind of probably is sold on nostalgia.
Yeah.
So maybe that's, a bit more calculated decision.
But you've got those batter necklines to go back to Meghan, but they have got, for that woman that wants to buy Givenchy this year because of that story and what's happened, they have been serviced here as well, especially these middle looks. And obviously it's something that she enjoys wearing, so could, wear again.
There's definitely going to be more interest in this show. Like even just thinking about news editors, they wouldn't not necessarily care about Givenchy. Maybe if it was Riccardo and, it was something quite controversial. But because of that, the Meghan effect, they'll, like, this will be, on the front page. It's a picture probably, but still.
I mean, already, the headlines this morning were, British designer who designed the wedding dress opens. Couture.
And so, was she on the Sunday night last season?
I don't know. That's a good question. It was an interesting time to show. Of course, Vetements showed a few hours earlier.
So different.
Schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, we shouldn't necessarily compare the two because they're so different. But it was interesting that Vetements showed this kind of guerrilla wedding.
That's true.
Coincidence?
Probably.
That men's look was really strong though, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder as well, I feel like the Givenchy customer, this couture customer, probably has the confidence, a woman, to order that coat as well.
Yeah.
The men's clothes don't feel so far removed from this. I think she would ask for the, I want that.
But I think she said a lot of the tailoring that Hubert Givenchy himself wore informed the shapes that she's used in the women's wear. So the coats that, like I said, are layered over the dresses and the capes and things. I think those codes are kind of taken from men's wear a little, and she's merging that idea.
Yeah. I think it really works though, because, if you ever go to a formal event and you've got a floor-length dress on, if you go to them like once every year or something like the Fashion Awards, what coat do you wear? You don't necessarily have that in your wardrobe, but I think it's a really elegant proposition because it doesn't hide the dress. It's,
Yeah, you're not ruining it with like a lumpy cardigan that I
Then here's this we can see on the screen here, there's a trench on top of a coordinating gown. It almost merges together, but it is definitely a trench coat.
I think this shirt had like a hoodie, like detail at the back.
okay.
Like that was cute. Like I just think there's like little touches. If you were there and you really saw it, you'd like pick up on those things. So yeah.
I think she's kind of creating a sort of loyalty for her customers. So like people that buy Haute Couture, they will be wearing something like this, or there's something for everyone that she's chosen from. So you can see like the Middle Eastern woman wearing the dress with the...
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's the trousers underneath quite a lot of the dresses as well. You can see it here with that sort of pinky gown dress. And they've got the capri, the cigarette pants, which are Audrey.
I really like those touches, the modern touches with the trousers underneath, because designers can be criticised when they do homages and look back, and you're arguing you're not giving a new proposition, but this does feel like she's thinking about who today's woman is, who today's customer is, being respectful, referencing the past, but giving something that people can wear, which in haute couture isn't always the aim.
No. And especially when, Givenchy ceased their couture.
Exactly, yeah.
They've got to win those customers back that went elsewhere. Get them back on side, and I'm so sure she's maybe being told that from above.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah, you don't just get to do it without finding a customer for it, because it's obviously such an expensive exercise. Or maybe it is just brand building.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it fully owned by LVMH?
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, there's always a bottom line.
But we're feeling very positive about this collection. That's the sense I'm getting.
Yeah.
Rebecca, you look maybe uncertain.
Seeing it in movement really helps, because I think, it's less perhaps boring than it looks as a static image.
But in terms
No,
of
I think it's
I
beautiful.
think in terms of her being there for a long time, she's definitely going to do well in terms of customer and sales. But it's just opposite from Ricardo, because he's more like, if he was still there, it'd be like very Instagrammable sort of looks he'll be creating, whereas her looks are more for like people that are not really about the whole celebrity appeal. And they just want to look fabulous in wherever they're going to. Or
I think as well, this is her second couture collection ever. You know, she hasn't done it before. I wonder how much she's enjoying it, because it's probably a challenge to explore what she's doing on the ready-to-wear and to translate it into this for the first time. So, you know, we're 2 seasons in, there's hopefully a lot more to come, kind of.
do we feel there's a longevity to what she's doing to her designs?
I think so, definitely. Because she's consistent. She knows her customer, I suppose, and is giving that customer what they want. I feel with this, she's not playing it safe, but however, she's not killing me with like an Instagram moment. She's not like, you know what I mean? She's not giving me that T-she like, oh yeah, like I love this.
But she is picking up on things that I think people, you know, perhaps aren't going to Instagram, but are going to be interested in and look at. You know, like Audrey Hepburn still has this incredible icon status. You know, young girls still put pictures of Audrey up. So it's not that she's not thinking about that. It's just a different approach. It's a different take. And, you know, playing Moon River at the end, like...
It's that moment. It's that Instagram stories.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's well played.
And it when you say it out loud, it sounds a bit cheesy, but actually I imagine, you know, it's a beautiful song, you know, it's a classic for a reason. When you're sat there in a sort of Paris evening sun, in that setting, those gowns, I'm sure it was probably quite emotional with all the Petit Man coming, you know, I'm sure it was quite emotional.
I can imagine.
Or like emotive, you know.
Fire.
Yeah.
But, you know, and I saw that and I felt that you would feel, and nostalgia is a really strong pull. If you feel that tug and you can, I don't know, remember when you first watched the movie or whatever, and you thought, yes, that is a moment, that is something I do want to buy into.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what makes this successful.
And it doesn't scream Audrey either, which would have been like horrendous. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like there's a really subtle reference that you can pick up, which is better than just having those, because it's such an icon. It's so obvious. It's like a Halloween costume kind of thing.
It really is.
Like, it's so much better that it's just subtle takes.
This is so not costumey.
Not at all, and it easily could have been because of the pressure of having to live up to that.
And I think there are so many different women catered to. Like, if you think of celebrities who she might dress as well, like, you know, that white off-the-shoulder gown, that could be worn by Rihanna and look amazing. Or, you know, there's dresses that could be worn by kind of like Kate Blanchett or like, and also younger people like Saoirse Ronan, how do you say her name? Saoirse Ronan. Like, you know.
You'll say? Saoirse?
Saoirse.
But yes, her. What do we want to see from Claire White-Keller as she continues Givenchy's Haute Couture?
I want to see like her real stamp on things.
In the ready-to-wear, there's a slight rock and roll spirit. With those fur coats. And it's a bit cool and and I think to see that into this would be quite nice. There is that sort of harder edge with the leather and to play with those things. It would be interesting to see that in a couture capacity, I think. A bit more attitude.
Yeah, because she had that at Chloe. So
more attitude.
She can do it,
And just marrying the two would be the best.
I think
they're ready to wear.
She always had like an amazing point of reference. There's always going to be a really strong woman or like a vibe. So I think once she's kind of dealt with the nostalgia of this collection, needs to go back to that a bit.
So do we think she needs to find her woman and define who that is?
I feel like her woman is herself, because I can see her wearing every single piece of this collection. But I think there's just like, I just miss a bit of glamour or like to aspire to be a woman, whereas I feel like I don't really aspire to be that woman.
But I've seen this woman before a million times.
Yeah.
Basically.
She needs to bring some extra element, otherwise it will kind of get forgotten in the over-the-top couture collections that it has to compete with, like, you know, like Valentino with those Philip Tracy hats.
Yeah,
or,
of course.
You know, Chanel always has an extravaganza. She has to bring it.
'Cause otherwise, as beautiful as it is, people might stop talking about
Yeah,
it.
you've got to think about kind of like the galleries on Vogue.com or like the Instagram hits. Is this going to be enough?
So perhaps we just want to see Claire White-Keller look and think a little more aspirationally to try and tap into something new.
I would say so.
Shall we give her a round of applause? Yes, White-Keller, thank you so much.